if your kuleana is suffocating or crushing you, then you need to take a look at how you're approaching your kuleana.
Okay, welcome to our third session for our September Kona gathering. This time we're going to be discussing Moʻokūʻauhau, the lineage we build. So we inherit a genealogy, but we also create one through the lives we shape and the kuleana we accept. Our descendants will inherit more than our DNA. They will inherit the patterns we healed, created, and repeated, and kuleana.
Mm-hmm. That's very true, Keʻala. So genealogy is often spoken as of ancestry. You know, who are your grandparents? Where did your family come from? And those questions matter, but in today's age, they're also slightly just incomplete. You know, every decision we make becomes someone else's inheritance, like you said. We inherit genetics, but we also inherit nervous systems, communication patterns, trauma and successes, conflict and resolution styles, financial habits, and relationship structures that are modeled to us. So Keiki will inherit what we repeatedly embody and how we operate without using our words. But I think this is where ancient wisdom and modern epigenetics begin speaking to one another. Genealogy isn't only just biological, but it's behavioral, rational, and ethical. And so, you know, what lineage begins with and is carried or evolved by me in this lifetime? So we can ask ourselves this, like, what are we, just other than Coco, how are we imparting the lineage within our family or within our community? So I think from a Kanaka Maoli essence, Moʻokūʻauhau is that it's a preserved identity, responsibility, memory, and a place, right? Different sacred wahipana. But the modern expression for us is that it's continuing to write genealogy every day through our choices. And there are some things we can choose today. I think we're starting first with personal identity as a Wahine. That is really what's going to bring us ultimately to our legacy, bringing us back into the body I was walking as a heiau. Our first home is our body, ourselves. So part of our identity. So we've got our core, we have our body, and then it moves into personal sovereignty. How do we move throughout our world? And from there, then we'll start discussing about how we affect our world. And how do we make sure that what we're doing in our world will survive us and will be relevant or spoken about or practiced 50 years from now? So a lot of, it's funny, you know, we're in this narcissistic type of Western mindset of rights and get yours and boss babe and, you know, do what's right for you. And that's fine. That's part of personal sovereignty. But it's also about, what are you here for? Why are you here? Do you harbor and hold and evolve and use the inherent gifts that you've been given to leave something behind after you're gone that can enrich our culture? And so I think that's where we're going to start. And we get to choose that, and that becomes our living lineage while we're alive, which then converts into our legacy after we're gone. So we're starting at the very core of ourselves. I think I was having a conversation while I was teaching in Oregon and Washington last weekend, and there was a beautiful Wahine that was there that scheduled a one-on-one with me. And she's clearly going through what she called initiation. So a particularly hard time in her life where there's multiple tests before her, and she's trying to navigate those well. But she also has simultaneously, which can exist at the same time, most of us have this as Wahine, she feels the call to help others. And I explained to her that if you have to destabilize yourself in order to stabilize someone else, then it really isn't a great decision for you. And so I think if we can think of that too, if we have to, I did an article and discuss it all the time. If your kuleana is suffocating or crushing you, then you need to take a look at how you're approaching your kuleana. I think that is where it starts, to make sure that we're not just living for ourselves, we're living for others, but not to the point where we're harming ourselves. So I think that's why starting with Wahine identity is extremely important.
Thank you. Yeah, it's going to be really exciting. And you touched a little bit on On well, I think what's relevant here is where we will be at the restored heiau of our ancestors, right? As a part of the overall discussion. I know your intention was to incorporate this aspects
Absolutely.
into everything that we're doing for the weekends. So we'll get to be in that beautiful sacred location while we cover these topics that make sense and I believe will really hit home closer because of where we will be for the weekends.
Absolutely. I mean, it's Hoʻihoʻi Pilina. And so how can we're going to be there on the Aina where it's a restored heiau. And yet we're talking about, I mean, it's just a physical depiction of what we're talking about ourselves. And so we are a living, breathing, walking, powerful heiau ourselves. And I don't mean to distill it down to, look, I've got goosebumps. I don't mean to distill it down to the body as a temple. That's not what I'm saying. But yet those are the words that we're using. It's so much deeper than that. And I think being there on that sacred Aina and at the heiau, we can relate it to ourselves so much easier than trying to visualize it. And the mana that's there. I mean, we're going to be blessed energetically. I can just feel it. Yeah.
Absolutely. I know. I'm so excited.